Here, record. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. We're talking about This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have the book. I don't have.
We read a book called The Reader. Have you read that, Lena?
I haven't read that one. No, that sounds interesting though. Yeah.
That one was very good. And I think what was interesting about the two books, this book, is that both of them entailed a family or a person keeping a secret.
Mm.
And by keeping a secret, like what that, how troublesome that can be.
Yeah.
With it. On this book, I thought the topic was interesting. I really thought that the author needed more attention, like within her family. Like they have a child who's transgender, and everybody in the whole family is very accepting of that.
They are. I thought that too. I remember thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that's
struggle with it.
realistic. I mean, I don't think that's realistic. I think that, maybe parents or people can accept it, but I don't think your initial reaction is acceptance. Like, I don't think it's like, oh yeah, I wanted a transgender child. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that's
So they did want a girl, right?
they did want a girl.
I felt like they were like, from what little I had read, it felt like they were actively encouraging that, I mean, like it was like they were, and I was kind of like, well, you can't complain about it if you're actively having him, well, I guess he was him then, I didn't read past that part, but having him, actively buying him dresses and whatnot, then don't complain, I don't know, that was that's when I started realizing we're getting into dangerous territory here, and I better stop.
But I don't think they complain, right? Yeah.
As part of the story, though, come on, the grandmother goes out, he's 5 years old, and she buys him a yellow bikini. Like,
Yeah.
That's pretty progressive. And they live in Wisconsin. Like, they're in farmland. Like, they're on acres of property in country, in the middle of the country. And
but they moved, right? Didn't they move because of that? Because people weren't open-minded enough?
They did. They moved to Seattle because they thought that would be what happened was when she was pregnant, she wanted to have a girl. I mean, she did everything. She moved her bed east to, like she read, if you keep your bed facing east or whatever, that, she put something under the bed, like that was supposed to. And I find that interesting because I think a lot of people do things, like superstitious type of things to try and affect the outcome of whatever it is that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And what I also wonder too, I wonder how much we can influence. Like, she wanted a girl, and she got a boy that wanted to be a girl. But sometimes I wonder if, while the baby is in vitro, can you influence how the baby is when, I just wonder, if you think, so I thought that was interesting. I just thought, though, that as a whole, the family was too accepting. She could have really put some more attention.
Yeah. Or at least had one of the parents struggle more with it, because it was both the mother and father were very accepting.
And the grandmother.
And the grandmother, which is an older generation, you would think, yes.
And the siblings. I don't know, I fought with my brothers, and they were concerned for her or him to go to school.
Yeah.
That, that they were going to get beat up. But within themselves, they never said anything derogatory.
Yeah. Yeah, she just had that one section, if I'm remembering right, where wasn't one or two of those siblings was unhappy that this child, who I don't even remember the child's name. What's the child's name in the book?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, the boy.
I don't remember that. I'm horrible. Yeah, I don't remember the name.
The transgender child that was getting all the attention, and I felt like she had that section where the other siblings felt like they, that basically the parents ignore them or don't care about whatever they're going through.
Yeah, but it wasn't like there was no name calling, like,
I know, yeah.
there was no, like, they weren't, and they're, all right, the parents might have come from someplace other than Wisconsin. I forgot where it was. But these kids are growing up in Wisconsin. So how do they have a mindset that's so liberal, like that they're
Right.
not saying anything? That's pretty mature for.
Yeah, I don't remember that. All I remember is that once they moved though, Pete, no one, she had, at that point, the child was a girl, right? So so no one knew, right? Her friends, remember there was that whole thing with her best friend, the kids who were her friends assumed she was a girl, all, like.
I didn't get that far.
Well,
that she was physically a girl as well. And so they don't know. And then it becomes that whole issue when they're all reaching puberty and she's not.
They moved to Seattle.
Right.
And at this point, they're letting her go to school.
As a girl, right?
As a girl.
I don't think they even told the school, right? I don't think they even told the school that.
I think they did tell the school.
Oh, they did?
I think the school was part of saying, like, let's not
make a big tell any, I mean.
Yeah. And then, and you're right, when she was reaching puberty or like getting close to it, they were trying to decide what they were going to do. And that's the part where it was like a whole secret, like you kept this secret and you haven't said anything. And then all of a sudden, I forgot how they found out that he was that.
Yeah, what was it? I know that there was some sleepover, and I'm not remembering the details of it, but it had something to do with the whole puberty part, right? That they
did find out, and it was like devastating too.
Right.
He shaved. He was going to school as a girl, and then she like shaved her head and like wouldn't come out of her room.
Right. So there was some tension there, but you're right. But it took a lot, but that wasn't within the family so much, but how others reacted to her. And I agree with you that there needed to be more of that. The author has said in her author interviews that in her, so this is based on her, on her own family, right? That the genesis of the story, that she has a transgender child, a boy who became a girl. And she says in her own story, in her own life, it was much less interesting than in the book. So it sounds like there was even less, as she said, claiming that there was even less tension or issues with having a transgender child. So I thought that was interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I thought like even like the whole premise, I thought it was interesting too, that she named her the two twins, weren't they after birds? One was like Orion and the other one was.
It's gonna drive me crazy. I don't know where.
Oh yeah, Because I read it so long ago from the library, so I don't have the actual book.
Yeah, I don't have I already brought the book. I got it from the library, but I brought it back. But it was, I think, also like with her point is.
Here this morning.
People are different in all sorts of ways, whether it be their sexuality, their names, like their size, their color, like whatever. Like, I think that they were kind of, and it was, the husband was he was a writer. The husband was a writer and he was writing a fairy tale.
Oh, right. I remember that where the child identifies with the princess right before they know he's transgender.
Yeah, but I get kudos for trying to add some interest to your story, but it wasn't like, I can't really tell you what the fairy tale was about. Like, I was kind of not paying attention to the fairy tale, more to the core of the story.
Okay. And then in the end, they go to Thailand or something, right? Where transgender is more accepted, the way the book presented it. Yeah.
And that was kind of strange too. That was like, that was like kind of strange too. I mean, I thought the topic was, I thought the topic was interesting.
Oh yeah.
As a writer, I thought she could have done, like there could have been more attachment to the characters. Like, I just didn't like the book it was okay. It was like,
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's what my other book club thought thought too, in terms of the right. But I think the topic is, and it's even more relevant now, I think, with, with efforts to say that people under 18 can't go through, the surgery to change their gender and all that. So I think, that there's that feeling out there that among some people that someone under 18 can't really know what their identity or sexuality is. And I think this book makes it very clear that this child knew from like 5 years old, right? Or, yeah.
Yeah, but they
how old is the kid by the end of the book?
So it's past puberty. So like,
but like, I mean, like, I always use 25 as like the, okay,
yeah, no,
that's when your brain is fully developed. So like,
true.
That's when you really know what you are, period. And, in every sense,
okay.
You know what I mean? Like when you're mature enough to, like, you can't rent a car until you're 25 for a reason. So I'm just curious, like, does the kid get to full adulthood?
No.
And we're confirmed that this was the right choice.
Pre-teen, early teen, something like that when they go to Thailand. I'm trying to remember the Thailand thing. I mean, she's still school age, well, maybe like 13, 14 at the most.
I don't think that she's, they didn't say anything about her going through puberty, or they were talking about the time about like hormone blockers.
Right.
Were they going to start?
Oh, that they had to make a decision on that soon, right? But there was some puberty, like with her sleepover friends, weren't they all like talking about their like, buying their first bras or whatever it was, something like like their trainer bras, and then she didn't, need to worry about that, obviously.
They were, but there wasn't like she had, but I mean, she wouldn't have gone unless she wasn't going to develop breasts,
right?
And unless that they gave her hormones. I thought that was like really controversial too, as far as like,
yeah,
just like you said, Tara, that they don't 25 is when the brain like fully develops. I mean, this is really, I think I could be open to transgender if that's like what they want. But I mean, in actuality, we're talking about cutting off body parts. Like, that's pretty serious. Like, that's pretty, it's pretty serious. It's like, I don't think you say 12 years old, okay, like, or 13 years old or 14 years old, when they start to go through puberty, like I think it's pretty like serious. It's a pretty serious decision. I don't know that, I don't know what age it would be appropriate, but I certainly don't think like under 18 is, they could have taken it too. They could have said like, does insurance cover that? Like, they didn't even mention that as like an obstacle if you wanted to, well, the mother was a doctor, so I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, she was a doctor in the novel, and you're right. That I think I think it ends with them trying to decide what to do in terms of the hormone blockers and, what procedures and things like that. Yeah.
I think that they were just saying like, you could be both. Like, it's all right that this person could be, and make a decision like later. I think that, I don't know, this was more of a Jodi Picoult type of book. I think she could have done a better job with this. This is like right up her alley.
Yeah, it's tough because if you wait too long, though, you can't, I think, do all those things, right? I mean, like blocking things won't work as effectively. So that's like I've read about that too. So anyway, it's a good topic, good choice.
Yeah, I guess the blocking that's not the same as amputation.
Yeah, true.
Or like that's not exactly the same. And I don't know enough about it, but I wonder if that could be reversed. Like, what if they change their mind? And I'm still like, what happens if we don't like our skin color? Like, what if I decide I want to be black, or somebody who's black wants to be white, or like, are we going to be someday allowed the option to do that too? Like, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, I thought the topic was interesting. Thought it could have been. I thought there could have been more tension. I thought it could have been more well written. Like you didn't finish the book and wanted to like, oh, I'm sorry it ended. Like it wasn't horrible though either. It wasn't like,
No, it was well written. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. I pulled
What?
it out this morning and put it to the side. So I would have it.
Lost your book?
It's gone. Well, the cleaning lady was here today, and I'm guessing she put it somewhere. She doesn't think I'm very clean. She doesn't like my organizational style. So she tends to tuck away things. Like if I leave things out, and I leave them out because like I'm using them, you know, like I have a lot of books, you know. But she doesn't like that. So she'll like put them in a stack and put them in a box or something, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that the book is in a box. And I just don't know where that box is.
I'm not remembering what the reference of the title of the book was supposed to mean. That this is is that something that she tells the child that you were like kind of meant to always be this way, or?
I don't know if they like. I don't recall them tying the book to the title.
Oh, okay.
In the like. I thought it was just like, I mean, I kind of perceive it to be as this is how it always is. This is how it always is when somebody's different.
Okay. I'm just looking up a synopsis of it.
Yeah.
Remind me.
Okay, I'm just, did anybody ever read A Man Called Uwe?
Yes, that's really good. I liked that a lot.
I love that book. Did you read that, Tara?
I've never even heard of it. No.
Oh,
I love
that. Yeah.
I thought the character development in that was
but funny, I liked it so much, and so I got suggested it to my husband to read, and he didn't like it at all. He couldn't get past like the first few chapters. So
really,
yeah, which surprised me. But no, I thought it was a lovely story. Yeah.
I just read it. It kind of reminds me of Olive Kitteridge in a way, like except this one was.
I love those books too. Yeah.
What's that?
I love those books too. The whole.
Yeah.
The short,
yeah.
the kind of vignettes. Yeah.
Tara, you should read it. I want like.
How do you spell? What is it? A Man Called what?
Uwe, O-V-E.
It's like sweet. It takes place in Sweden, right? Or,
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the only reason I know how it's pronounced is because I watched the movie. There's a. I was
going to say, it was made into a movie a few years ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the only movie I could find was with subtitles.
Oh, okay.
It's in.
Didn't they make it in? I thought they made an English. An American version of that movie.
They may have, because I saw someplace that Tom Hanks was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That they were going to cast Tom Hanks as Uwe.
Right.
Tara, I think.
Yeah, they did. They did make it.
They did make it
with Tom Hanks. Yeah.
Is it on? I looked. Is it on Netflix or on?
It says it's streaming now, and I Google it. But I can't tell you. Let's see where. Oh, that looks like Hulu has it, maybe.
Huh.
But yeah, it's like a cranky old man, and you know who thinks whose life is miserable, and neighbors who.
yeah, he's very cranky. He's very cranky.
Yeah.
But he's had a lot of rough.
Yeah.
Experiences in his life, but he writes. The author is Frederick. I can't remember what his last name is.
Let's see if I can find that. Yeah. Keep talking. I'll try to find it.
What I love that what he does is that the book starts off and you know that he's married, but there's no mention of children. So you assume that there is no children. You don't really think much about it. And then like in another chapter,
Frederick Backman, just my bad.
Backman?
Yeah, like Backman. And Frederick's with a K, so Fredrik.
So what he does is like in another chapter he says that she was pregnant. So you know that something happened because there's no mention of children. You know she was pregnant, and then you have to wait, like you want to read further to find out like what happened, like with the and he does that with a lot of things, like every chapter, you know, like he'll give you just like a little bit, and then like it's not linear.
Yeah, which is yeah, which might be why my husband, for example, didn't like it. He doesn't like these books that go back and forth, which is very popular right now. And my own novel does that. But yeah, no, yeah, that's really good. And it does. There's enough mystery to it that it keeps you reading, because something, I mean, we don't want to give it away if you're going to read it. So
Yeah, I'll read it.
but something's not as it appears in his life. So
yeah, and you want to know what happened. Like, you know, he gives you just enough that you want to keep reading, because you know he's going to tell you for somewhere in the book. And he does that with like lots of things. That's like his whole style of writing, which I like. And it's not that he builds up this you know, big suspense, like a whodunit type. It's not like a whodunit thing. It's with a bunch of little things, which I thought it was I thought his writing style was very interesting. I finished it and wanted to read it again. Yeah, it was that's why I went and I watched the movie. It was like, and I lost my Netflix remote control. I went online to figure out how to program it to my iPhone, like so that I could watch. And then I ended up, I couldn't watch it on the TV anyhow. I watched it on the computer on YouTube.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a Swedish movie as well, but there's an American one with Tom Hanks in it. So, but I can see him being really good in that role too.
Yeah, I could see that too. I don't know, the book was way better than the movie, but I wanted to see. I like how they characterize it.
I'll look for that.
I'm just curious. I'm always curious on your opinion of like like if you like the right, like
because I hate everything.
Well,
I hate, like, I've hated almost every book we've read.
Oh no, what else have you read?
I can't remember. See, I blocked them out because I hate them so much.
What was the one with the before the reader with the hold on, I write them down. So
we did Hemingway, Old Men in the Sea.
Yeah, we did.
You hated that?
I can't stand Hemingway.
I read that in school. We had to read that in middle school, I think.
Well, I read it because I needed a book for our reading challenge list. One of the things was a book you should have read in school and didn't. And
okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll suffer my way through it. Everybody else loved it and I hated it. What else did we read? I hate it. I generally hate everything. But some of them, like Olive Kitteridge, I loved.
Okay, that's good. I like, yeah.
And that was my second time reading it. What
normal people.
Normal. I called it boring people.
Normal people. That was
I read that.
It was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was just, I thought it was boring. I mean, I thought.
Yeah, it wasn't memorable.
Yeah, I don't know. We read that F. Scott Fitzgerald last summer that I hated.
No, which one?
Whatever his first one was. This Side of Paradise. I made it about 20 pages. I'm like, this is not writing. This is not even English. I was like, nope, done. Oh no, we read The Age of Innocence and I love that.
And see, I did it.
Nobody else read it. Only Christine and I were the only two who read it.
I read
Stephen King. I hated. I hate everything that we read. Oh, okay. I forgot to tell you, we're going to read The Tender Bar next time. I promised Everett. I'm going to show it to you. I read it years ago and I liked it. So.
Oh, you liked it?
I don't like it again.
The Tender
Bar. That looks in. I like the cover. What is that about?
It's a memoir. It's about a boy who basically grows up in a bar.
Oh, wow.
I read it back when it first came out. So I think it came out in like 2007 or 8. So I read it all the way back then. I remember liking it though. Everett just started reading it, I think, and he is really liking it. So I was like, all right.
It looks long. It looks like a long book.
Everett seems to hate everything too. So I was like, if there's one thing the two of us like, let's give it a shot, because maybe other people will like it too.
He didn't know he was the only one who liked the
Stephen King.
The Stephen King Kennedy one.
He was the only one.
Did you read that, Leanie?
I haven't read that. No, I haven't read any other than the Man Called Uwe one. I've read that. Our book club last month, I think it was, read, or the month before maybe, read The Vanishing Half. Have you read that? That's really interesting.
I read that. Is that with the two sisters that were black but they passed as white?
Right. Well, the twins. Yeah, one passed as white and one didn't. One stayed in that town. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they both passed as white, but one chose. That ties in too, keeping a secret, like living your life.
Oh yeah.
As a secret. You know what I wrote from this book? Secrets are miserable things. Secrets, be they deliberate or accidental, will out, and then it won't matter where you live, for no place anywhere can protect you from the power and the fallout of a secret once exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Well, what do you mean?
Oh no, it's I don't understand. Like right now, I have something I'm not allowed to tell people, like about the movie. I have a secret, but it's not a bad secret. I just can't tell you because I, basically have a non-disclosure going on. But I don't understand people who keep secrets or lie in general, because it's so much more complicated not to tell the truth.
Yeah, but you should read this book, because I mean, she has a very good. You have to decide if you think she's convincing enough, but she has a arguably good reason why she can't. Why she has to pass, and why people. I don't think it's giving away too much to say that the one sister basically passes as white, and no one in her world knows that she's actually, black. So apparently this was common in the South, that there were these towns where very. So it's not like one parent was white and one parent was black. At some point, probably during slavery, someone was raped or whatever it was. So they have this very light skin color, and everyone in this town is light skinned, very light skin. And so they all know that they're, African American, but that they're all light skinned. But then when they leave the town, if they don't know they're from this town, they assume they're white. And then it's kind of goes from there. These two sisters, want to leave the town, and how they each live their lives. Yeah.
But Tara, like secrets, I mean, people keep secrets because, like, when they're afraid, when they're embarrassed, like, I mean, if they've been, say for instance, like somebody was raped and they don't want to, like, they're embarrassed by that. They're like shocked by that, like all the other emotions that you feel. They don't want to tell people that. Or say you live in a house that, like, you grow up and there's abuse in your house, or like addiction in your house. Like, you don't want to go, like, children don't want to go to school and say, oh, like, they want to keep that quiet. Like, lots of people, I think, have secrets. They don't want to go and say.
Well, and it always makes good tension in a novel, right? So it's like you exaggerate, I guess. But in this case, I mean, the secret's kept because it makes, it gives her a very different life than than she might otherwise have, as the point of the author, I think.
Yeah, but she kept. Are you going to read that? Because, like,
you can't give it away.
No, don't give it away, because maybe we'll read that over the summer. Maybe we'll read these two next. Maybe we'll read this Man Called Uwe and The Vanishing Half, or whatever it is, during the next two. I'm trying to, like, not have us devote too much book club time to figuring out what we want to read, because it seems like every time we do, we spend half an hour, we finally pick something, then half of us hate it, and then it's not good.
I think that's the hardest part about having a book club is figuring out what you're gonna finding a book where everybody.
Well, and like at the beginning, I was going online every month and coming and just randomly finding, like I'd type in summer book reads or whatever and pick some things I found online that I hadn't read and doing a poll. And then that way, if we all hated it, we're blaming the Amazon write-up, not a person. You know what I mean? Like when Everett recommended that Stephen King book and we all hated it, we were all kind of like, Everett, come on, why did you make us read this garbage? You know, like you don't want it to be a personal thing where you hated somebody's book.
Well, the Stephen King book wasn't. I mean, like
I couldn't even finish it. I mean, I got like 250 pages in. That tells you how long it was. That I wasn't even halfway done. I wasn't even a third of the way done. And I was like, done. Life is too short for books that bad.
It was entirely too long. It was entirely too long. And it was way too much detail. Like, I mean, but it was interesting because he really was writing about Jack Ruby. Is that like he was given, but he gave way too much detail, and I think it was like 800 pages.
Yeah, oh, wow. And there were so many mistakes in it. Whoever, like the publisher, did a horrible job. I mean, it was riddled. In really? Only the 200 or so pages I read, there were hundreds of errors, and I don't mean typos. I mean plot holes and like contradictions and inconsistent like things. Yeah, it was horrible.
This is Stephen. Wait, you said this is Stephen King,
Stephen
right?
King.
Like famous Stephen King. Okay.
Well, he's so famous now that they don't bother to edit his.
They don't even edit him anymore. Yeah, well, that might be true. Yeah. You should read this. This is a fun book that we read in book club, which I never thought I would like, but all of us loved it. It's called wait, let me find the full title of it. The Southern. Hold on a second. It has an odd title. Okay. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, of all things. But it's about a book club in the South, and obviously vampires. But it's almost like, kitschy, kind of like it's just over the top. You know what you would expect of a vampire thing, but in this context of a southern lifestyle, it was actually it's kind of funny and interesting, and it has a nice little mystery to it. And
maybe I'll do a poll with these books on it for the next month. You know,
on the Tender Bar, who's the author on that? Or are you going to put that? Can you put that in the chat?
I'll put it. Here. Let me find it
on your face on the social media. Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it on. I'll put it up tomorrow. I'm trying to remember I'm so tired. I've been up since 4:15.
Oh my goodness.
Leanie, how does your other book club? How do they pick the books?
So so the genesis of this book club is we all had children at the same school, and the school had a book club, and then as our kids graduated, we could have, but we didn't feel comfortable still going to that book club where, since we didn't have kids at the school anymore. So we started our own. So it's the parent alumni of the school. And I help run it along with this other woman, and she actually works in a bookstore, actually a children's bookstore, but she's a voracious reader. Reads all the time, and she's just really, we call her our book whisperer. She's just really good at picking interesting books for us. So she mostly picks them. Every now and then a member, we try to get the members to suggest things, and every now and then they'll suggest something and we'll read that. So it's a combination of those two. And we look for things that get good reviews overall, but some, we don't always, sometimes books people hate are the ones that you have more to discuss about. If everyone likes it, they're all like, oh, it's such a nice book, and they don't say anything much about it. But anyway, so the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, she suggested that. She tries to pick different genres for us as well. So we hadn't read any Gothic. This is in the Gothic style. We hadn't read any Gothic novels, and so this was kind of fit that. Yeah, she picked The Man Called Uwe. She picked that for us. So The Vanishing Half, she kind of had that on her radar before most of us had heard about it. So, yeah.
I look at the I'll look at what's on the New York Times bestseller, list and
Yeah.
read, see those. And then I go on Goodreads and I read the reviews just to get an idea of,
Yeah.
like it does make a difference. Like if a lot of people, I mean, every once in a while you have a lot of people who like it, and
Yeah, you need at least, I think, 4 to 5, 4.5, 5
yes,
stars.
I think,
Gotta be worried about it. Yeah.
I think so too. This A Man Called Uwe is like 4.35, I think.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah,
Something
no,
like.
I thought that was really good. I'm reading, what are you guys reading right now? You reading
I'm
anything else right now? I mean, you
I
guys are
just
reading
started I just started Four Winds, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna.
Oh, I haven't
Um
read that.
I just
it,
started this, whatever this Beatrice Williams, Her Last Flight.
Oh,
I just started it. I don't know.
that looks
so I'm reading Shuggy Bain. It's the takes place in Glasgow, and it won I think it's a debut novel that won the Booker Prize, or was a finalist for the
Wow.
Booker or something like that. Yeah, it's one of those dark, every, family sagas of, mother who drinks too much and the plight of her children and all that. But it's good. It's very well written, really beautifully written, actually.
what's that one called?
It's the name of the main character, which is the child that grows up in this family, Shuggy Baines, Shuggie, and then Baines, the family's last name, Bain. And it's about sexuality. It's also about sexuality, actually. I mean, I mean, they tell you that in the beginning, in the first chapter, but he's gay, and that in this kind of poor working class area where they grow up, that's not easily accepted. And it takes place in the 80s, I think, 1980s.
That's an interesting title.
Yeah, it's just his name. Yeah, his actual name is given name is Hugh, and apparently Shuggy is a nickname for Hugh.
Over there. That's something else too with like books. The titles, they say don't judge a book by the cover. I hate when I read a book and I can't remember the title. Like it's so wordy. This last one too. This Is How It Always Is.
Yeah.
That's like kind of like, you remember it's a saying, a saying,
I
but
couldn't remember it though. Like every time
I couldn't either. I always
I
forget.
kept trying to put, like when I was making the listing for Meetup and for the event and everything, I had to keep looking it up. I'm like, oh my God, you need a less generic title because I can't remember it, and it was just the night before.
Right.
Yeah,
but I think even as writers, like as writers, the title should be something that's memorable. Like I want to be able, when somebody said, "What are you reading?" that I can easily recall it.
Right. Yeah, no, I thought this was a hard title to remember. So in fact, when I was trying to find the synopsis and I couldn't remember, even though I knew I was coming to the book club today, I was having trouble remembering the title. I had to type in transgender novel, and it comes up as one of the first. I remembered that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't even remember what her name is. Who's the
Frankel, writes the last name. What's her? Laurie Frankel.
Oh, I should remember that.
That I remember. Yeah, Laurie.
Yeah, I should.
She spells it differently.
So
how long have you been doing the book club? I think I remember when you launched it, right? It's a couple of years now, or a year?
We did it on Facebook a few years ago, like maybe 2000.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Or so we did it, but it was really terrible because we were just kind of typing in the chat. That was before they had the video.
Okay.
So we stopped, and then last year, right around, I guess June or July was our first meeting last year. But because everybody was on Zoom at that point, anyway, we're like, let's see if we can revive the book club.
Right.
And we've been going. So it's been about a year now that we've been going.
Yeah, my book club too. I mean, we were meeting in person at the school on the campus, but then because we all live nearby, obviously. But with COVID, we moved to Zoom, and it's not quite the same because our club is, since we know each other through our kids and all, it has a social aspect to it too. So you kind of, we chit chat in the beginning and end, and then in the middle we're very focused on our book. But you lose that social thing, I think, a little bit in the Zoom. So. Yeah.
We did one. We used to host it at each other's house.
Oh, right. That's fine.
5 or 6 of us, and we would do dinner. Like the person who was hosting it would do dinner, and everybody
nice.
would bring something to contribute to the dinner, and then discuss. So it was cool. It was like social.
Yeah.
But we did it for like 3 years.
Okay.
But then
nice.
after a while, it gets like, thinking of what book to read. And
Yeah, ours is this is probably our kids graduated in 2014. So since 2014, we've been doing it pretty much.
Oh, wow. That's, wow.
Yeah, it's long. Yeah. I mean, we have like a very long email list that I send out the book, what book we're planning to read, like maybe 50 people on this list. But I would say there's a core of maybe 8 to 10 of us that actually show up and participate. So but it's always good to have book club. I mean, I love reading, but it's so easy to get caught up in all the other stuff you have to do. So I really like the book club to kind of force me to have a deadline to finish reading something by.
Well, plus what I like too is that like I might read something like this group read all of Kitteridge, and that's been on my list, and I just kept bypassing it.
Right, yeah.
And it gave me reason to read it, and I'm really glad that I did. Like, I might have picked it up once before, and I didn't finish it, and I brought it back. So I said, okay, this is a good opportunity. Like, I like book club for that to get me to read something that I might not otherwise read.
Right. Yeah. That's
and plus, true. Like just from like tonight, I have like 4 books.
4 books, right? Yeah, no, it's definitely for me too. Like a lot of the things I read is from my co-book club person suggesting them, and you're right, I wouldn't necessarily pick them up on my own. So yeah,
it's
actually the Shuggy Bay, my mother-in-law suggested that. She really liked it. So
well, I find like the best books are the ones where like a Man Called Uwe, I couldn't wait to call my friend and said, I really read this, you'll like it. Like she likes the same most of the, she likes the same genre, and so I said, you're going to like this.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
And so like she started reading it. I find those are the best books. So when somebody said, did you ever read We Need to Talk About Kevin? No? That somebody recommended that too. That was good too. That's like
it's an interesting title.
it's very it's dark.
Okay.
Like it's dark, but it makes it ties back into where I was saying, I wonder when a woman is pregnant if her thoughts influence the outcome of the baby. And in this particular book, the mother she's having a baby basically because her husband wants her to have a baby. Like, I mean, she's not vehemently opposed, but she could care less. And you wonder if like her indifference does anything. Like the child is just he's just a bad seed. And he's like he's like a really bad seed, and you just wonder, like, was it because she was indifferent? Like, did that have anything to do with
the hormones probably, right? Yeah,
or was it just random? Like, was it just random?
Yeah.
And then it brings into play, like, if you have a child that's like a bad seed, what do you do with them? Like, that's what was,
Tara's like, oh, there's a story, right?
Well, it's like, well, it's true though. What do you do with them? Like, our society is not really equipped to, and this kid who was in the book, he was like genius. Like, he was so manipulative, but I mean, it was hard, it was almost like he knew exactly what he could get away with. It really interesting.
Add that to the list.
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap us up because the thunder and the lightning are starting to go crazy outside. And that generally means my Zoom has not long for this world.
Okay.
And remember what happened? Laurie, were you here during happy hour at the time and my power went out? Or no?
No, I know.
And Brian just suddenly turned, oh, that's what it was. He said he shut down my computer remotely in the middle of, because he wanted to run updates on my computer. Okay. So just, I want to make sure I get the video because otherwise it's going to be gone. So
No problem. This was fun. Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah.
I will put it up on Facebook and the website tomorrow with the date and whatever. And the link is always going to be the same from now on.
Okay.
So every time book club will always be the same link.
And is your happy hour, is that
Next Thursday at 5. And there's a different link for that. Oh crap. Here it is.
so what, I just go on Blydyn Books and you'll
Here, I'll type the link into the chat. I just typed it in.
Okay.
Can
We can access this later on, this chat?
I don't know.
Oh,
No,
I can it's on our website.
okay. That'll be easier.
If not, I'm gonna put it up. If it's not, I'll put it up tomorrow. I'm working on the website tomorrow night. So
Okay.
but otherwise I'll email me and I'll email it to you. But yeah, but the happy hour is next Friday, next Saturday. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Next Thursday at 5.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'll see if I can.
Hi, it was nice meeting you, Leanie.
Same here. Yeah, maybe I'll see you
thank
again.
for coming. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right,
Have a
bye.
good evening. Bye.